project day. Devin is in her little hole back here in the quarter cabin.
I live here.
Because she's painting all of the surfaces of the flat surfaces white. Some of it will remain wood. She's painting in between here. She's gonna paint this, but that'll stay wood. This is getting paint. You can actually see the before and after there, which is pretty cool. Gross old yellow stained, and then nice new bright white below. That's a hole, but we're gonna fill that later. So we didn't want to. We only had one hole in here, remarkably. So we didn't want to open up a whole can of fix it just for the one hole. So we'll come back and do that later. She's got this side painted. This is all the first coat. So we're thinking it might need 2 or 3 total coats because it's definitely showing through. So yeah, good job, babe. Keep it up.
Alright, so here is an update on the quarter berth. So, got everything painted white in here. There is another coat of white that I want to do, but I'm waiting on paint, and my dad gets here in a few days. So, now that it's dry, we're gonna take all the tape off and get it ready to have it guest friendly. But yeah, I even got down there. So yeah, I need to get in. There's a hatch right there that I need to get under and repaint, and there when I in the bilge for the next time. But so far, there's not much I need to repaint or do another coat on, but there is a few places I'd like just one more coat, and then I gotta finish the faces of this cabinet and all the other pieces. But I'm gonna take all the tape off. I'll show you in a minute.
Okay, my job today is steering system. So we're gonna replace the steering cables. So there's just cables that run from here around the side of the boat back to the steering quadrant back there. And these cables likely original, but they're in pretty good shape, but we're still gonna replace them because for some reason the wheel itself was disconnected by the previous owner. So, and I don't really know why that is. So maybe there was a problem, maybe it's broken back there at the quadrant, whatever. I'm not sure. But let's go take a look. Here's our inside helm. Engine controls. Well, engine start, stop, engine control, and transmission control. So throttle, transmission. Forward, neutral, reverse. So if we look back up in here, excuse the wiring, we can see this part right here that has Edson on it. That's the back side of the steering wheel. And so there's a sprocket in there that when you turn the wheel, that sprocket catches this chain, and then that chain is connected to 2 lengths of stainless steel wire rope or cable, and that cable goes back here. So you can see the 2 of them right up here around this block or pulley to make the 90-degree turn to run back to the steering quadrant. So my job today is to take pictures and measurements of that cable, and so that way I've already been in contact with Edson, the manufacturer, and they gave me the things to look for and the measurements to get, because although they did provide the original equipment in 1986, they don't have all of the records for what was done on the boat, because Scepter ordered the parts in bulk and kind of in raw material form. Not exactly raw, but not like a complete kit. So they ordered the parts kind of separately, and then in the factory they put it all together. So Edson's not quite sure the lengths, because all they have is the length of the total that was ordered for multiple boats, and then at the factory at Scepter, the wires were cut to size. So Edson didn't do the cutting. So, but by doing this, there's, I don't know how many other Scepter 41s built. Maybe this will help someone else, because I'm going to send this data off to Edson, and they're going to help us submit the order for the size and the lengths that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and take some measurements and kind of go from there. So I'm down here taking measurements, and one thing that Devin's dad called out to me before, but I guess I really didn't realize it, how bad it was. Like, we have metal chain resting on and rubbing against wires, and even this back here, that terminal block, that is just not good. So, because when we turn the wheel, of course, the chain and these are going to move, and that's just basically dragging across these wires. I don't like it. We're gonna have to figure something out there as well. But anyway, so far what I've done is I have my digital calipers here, and I've just taken a bunch of measurements inside and outside and diameters of the chain. Taken a bunch of pictures. I found a serial number up there on that. I don't even know what that would be called. The housing for the steering sprocket. So now I'm gonna take length measurements of the cable as it goes down the side of the boat, and also diameter measurements of the cable as well. So, and I'm just writing everything down and taking pictures as we go. One of the things that the guy at Edson, he was really nice and very knowledgeable, and was familiar with our make and model of boat, but he said use blue tape or tape, and tape the sections of the cable that you are measuring, and chunk it out and then add it all up at the end. So sounds like a pretty good tip to me. So got our handy tape and we'll be doing that. All right, here I am on the bowels of the stern of the boat, looking at the steering cables. So from all the way on the inside helm station, the steering cable runs through this conduit. So there's a metal wire in there to give it its shape, and then like this rubber type coating on the inside. And so the stainless steel cable runs through that conduit. So this is the stainless steel cable. Now, when we were looking at this boat originally, the previous owner said he purposefully disconnected the inside helm because he said he didn't want people like messing around with it or something. I didn't never understand why, but sure, yeah, it's always been disconnected. I knew it was disconnected, and I'm just telling you guys, but yeah. But so the idea is when you turn the wheel on the inside, that sprocket tugs on the chain. The chain is connected to the cable. The cable runs through some pulleys, and those pulleys and everything pull on the wire here to turn this. And this is our steering quadrant for the inside steering. And then up here we have the steering quadrant for the outside steering. And then the one in between, this is kind of dark gray one, that's the control arm or the steering for the autopilot. It's hooked up to the control arm over here. That thing that looks like the hydraulic ram, that's the autopilot. Which is outside of the scope of this current project, but also something we need to look at. But anyway, so these steering quadrants here, they're looking kind of crusty. So, depending on their cost, probably we'll get new ones of those too. And even so the hardware, see how rusty that is? That all comes with the new cables. And then if we wanted to get new quadrants, it would get new hardware here to mount it to the rudder post. This is the rudder post, and that goes down through the hole, and then the rudder's down there outside. Oh. So I'm thinking we might as well order those too, depending on the cost. Yeah, so the next thing is I got the cable measurements all done and written down. It's just trusty pad and pen and tape measure there for the inside, and now I'm going to measure for the outside. And to get into there, you guys are going to come with me. So, go back through this hole. And what you hear is the refrigerator. You guys saw that video. That thing has been a beast. So here I am in the lazarette. And then that light back there is coming from that aft lazarette. So we're on the port side of the hole right now. Yeah, so to get into viewing the outside steering, this is our outside steering. So we have it winterized right now with the tarp over it, but there's a pedestal here, and then that runs down, and it's through bolted to the cockpit sole. And so in order to get to that, there's this hatch right here that just lifts up, and then we can slide it out carefully. You're on video. Dev's doing dishes, and Bella's supervising. She doesn't like Daddy being out here. Comes. All right, babe. She doesn't like it. See how she backed up on.
Now she's gonna be like, wait, now can I come back in?
Yeah, it's cold out here.
Okay, you wanted to be out there. Now you gotta come here.
You can do it.
Come on, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it.
You can do it, you can do it, you can do it.
Hooray.
Bella, no smoking, by the way. No smoking. Go ahead. No, I'm not gonna help you.
Put my hands.
Mommy's helping you. Look it.
If you're not gonna step into my hands, then you're gonna stay there. All right, bye. Nice to know you. Oh, now you're ready to step into my hands. Come here.
Daddy's gonna help. Daddy, come on.
Come on.
Come on. Come on. It's okay. Come on.
You're a silly girl.
Little one.
How many people does it take to get Boo Boo out of the cockpit?
Yeah. Who's
How many?
in charge over here?
You go take a nap.
All right. That was fun. It's always fun to see her. Look how gross that backing plate is. That is disgusting. It's like pretty much rusted through. Here, this is a wood backing plate and mild steel, it looks like, backing plate. So that is definitely gonna have to be replaced with this project. We came back here for this measurement. So this wire here comes from the helm up there down to these blocks and then back to the steering quadrant that I showed you. So we're gonna measure that and put that down in our notebook. Today I'm working on pulling apart the old steering system. So right now got my lubricant, penetrating lubricant here on all the bolts that we've got to pull off. And then the next step while I'm doing that, might as well pull out, get these ready to be pulled out. So this is the conduit that the actual steering cable runs through. And so over the years, as the steering cable goes back and forth inside the conduit, it goes back and forth, it will chafe on the inside of the conduit, and so the rubbing will eventually expose the stainless or the wire. It's a wire reinforced like plastic. So eventually the plastic, it'll rub through the plastic onto the wire reinforcing. And so the guy at Edson said, well, if you're gonna do your cables, might as well do your conduit too, because of that chafing problem. So might as well pull that out. So we ordered new cables and conduit. So that's coming. So what we're gonna do, instead of nicely disassembling this, look how badly corroded this is. It's not worth trying to undo that. It's just, it won't come undone. I'm not even gonna try. So bolt cutters. So I'm just gonna nip the end of the cables here, and that way I don't have to mess around with trying to get that hardware off. And so once I have that cable nipped off, I'll take these bolts off. That should hopefully free up this here. And then that setup, that is holding the exhaust back off of the steering quadrant, and it's just barely not touching. But that is a problem too. We shouldn't have the exhaust tied back with, I don't even know what that is. So yeah, that's gonna be a problem. So we'll address that too. So yeah, let's start by clipping those wires. Okay, cut the wire, drug out the end, put it in the cockpit for trash. And then I was able to get this one off. So what it was like was this nut just screws onto the end of this plastic, I guess you would call it a housing. I have no idea what that's called. Edson has a name for it, but that obviously went through there. So, and then this nut was just on there. It was actually pretty easy to take the nut off, thank goodness, even though it's all rusty. It was just screwed onto this plastic material, so the plastic didn't corrode. So yeah, and then this piece just slid out there. So it's just kind of a compression fit through the hole on this support here. So yeah, let's do this. So I already loosened it, so we just take the nut off, and then this just slides off, pull it out. Cool. So next, what I'm gonna do, take this pick, I'll show you guys that, and I'm gonna prod around in here to see if there's any voids or anything rotten, and that looks pretty solid. That's not going into the wood at all, because I'm assuming that this is marine grade plywood. It's been wrapped in fiberglass and then tabbed into the transom here and the hole down here. So whenever you have a hole into some plywood, obviously that's where water can get in, but back here is pretty protected, so this is looking all right. There's no issues there. Just got to clean it up a bit, get this rust out of here, and you know what this one. That one feels a little softer than the rest. Yeah, this one back here, up on this side, it feels, the tip of this pick is just going in ever so slightly. But so it's not rotten. It's just maybe some exposed wood. Whereas over here, the tip just doesn't go in at all. So I'm thinking, at one point maybe someone came back in here and like epoxied a layer around this hole, and same thing, this one might have had that too, but maybe they missed a spot back here. So what I'll do is get this cleaned up, and then I'm just going to take some unthickened epoxy and seal the inside of it, so that way if water does get into these holes, that the epoxy will protect it. So I can get that going today. That won't be too bad. Do both of those after I get them cleaned up. So yeah, what else can I do? Because I'm still waiting for these bolts to marinate with their penetrating fluid. There is a sheave back there. You can barely see it right back there. A sheave is basically just a pulley on a boat, so I've got to pull that out because we're going to have that sand or bead blasted. Yeah, and then, oh, I know what I can do. I can also cut this wire because we're getting a new one of those wires as well. Plenty to do. There we go. So this one still moves freely, but we're going to reuse him. So we didn't, because Edson doesn't make these out of bronze anymore, the sales guy said just get it bead blasted. Will, really nice guy, more than a sales guy, but he said just get it bead blasted and some new hardware. Maybe that hardware's looking pretty good. Take it off and see. Clean it up, put a new like cotter pin in, and then reinstall it. It'll be fine. Just gotta take better care of it once it's installed, because this clearly has not been loved. Alright, here's where I'm at. I did get the sheave off back there. See it lying down? The green thing that's supposed to look like gold, bronze, yeah, that guy. He's off. So now I'm trying to pull off the quadrant. Got that bolt out, and I got that bolt out because they snapped. So I don't want to snap anymore. So even with the penetrating fluid, they snap. So fire. Oops. Come on. Be right back. This part, when it does that, part of it's lighting the penetrating fluid on fire, I believe. Alright, so let's just let this sit here for a little bit longer, get that good and hot, then we'll go. Safety is down there. We got our fire extinguisher.
Okay.
And then this.
Once we got all the parts removed, we took it all in to get sandblasted and the pedestal. Once that was removed, we also took that in to be sandblasted and powder coated. So it would have that nice white finish without any of the cracks and whatnot that it has currently.
The bilge pump actually hasn't been working for a number of days, and I even spent one afternoon manually sucking out all the water because I was like, all right, this is it. Now I can finally replace the switches because it's totally dead. No, it's not totally dead. So I just found a wire, this wire, that goes from the fuse to the positive supply. Had just come loose. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss an episode.